Well, I do the talks because I really feel, especially in this day and age, that people need to remember who they are. They need to feel encouraged and hopeful about their own lives, why they're here on earth, what they're here to do. And I just feel like people can use an encouraging word. It's something that we don't really hear anymore. I can remember when I was a child, my school would have us sing songs, and one of the lines was, "Where seldom is heard a discouraging word, then the skies are not cloudy all day." And so I want to just put a shot of love out there, and I want people to see something that maybe I write that makes them think about something in their own lives, that makes them feel connection, even if it's just to a quote on a sidewalk, like, "We're all one." There's nothing fascinating about that. We are all one. The fascinating thing is that we forget. So that's why. What inspired me to do this is what continues to inspire me to this day, which is literally just the connection that it makes with other people. I'm beautifully surprised by it every single time. If I'm chalking and somebody stops me and says, "Hey, are you the one that's doing this?" and blah, blah, blah. And I'll say yes and introduce myself. And then what's so beautiful is a person will say, "I needed this today. I follow your chalks. I look for them. They help me." And so that's what keeps me going, is just knowing that it actually does mean something to somebody, even if it's one person. I'm completely grateful for that. And I think it's stunning that if I'm having a bad day, let's say, and I think to myself, "You're stronger than you think you are. Why don't you pick yourself up right now and remember that?" Then if I put something on the sidewalk that says, "You're stronger than you think you are," that's me talking to people, and it's me talking to me. And I think it's that constant connection that keeps me wanting to do it. When I'm writing the messages and I'm on the chalk, I'm really just thinking about the other person that the chalk will find, because I know that the chalk finds the people it's meant to. One time I was chalking in Berkeley and a woman stopped me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just writing a message." And she said, "For who?" And I said, "For anyone who needs it." And that's the truth. It's for anyone who needs it. Sometimes I'll be taking a nice walk and I'll just feel a nudge, right here, do it right here in front of this car. And I really just listen to the nudges. We all have that little inner voice inside that says, "Do this, don't do that." I think for people who deal with anxiety, especially, we are very attuned to that inner voice. And sometimes it drives us mad. And if we can listen for the kinder voice inside, that's the comfort. I try to connect to that voice and then translate that to the sidewalk. That's really my hope, is that I can do that. If I'm walking around and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so worried about," I'll take a deep breath. All is well. All is well. Take a deep breath. And then that becomes a chalk. Take a deep breath. All is well. Just right there, wherever I felt that on the spot. Has anyone acted badly to my chalks? Well, yes. That's also beautiful though, because you know what? It's not about just making everybody happy. It's about the human emotional wheel that we all have. I've had people put water on them immediately after I've written it. And I just know, okay, that's just not a place to do it again. I want to be respectful at all times. And that's why I spend a lot of time thinking about what I'm going to put on the sidewalk. Do a lot of journaling, and I try to read a lot. I read from actually everywhere. I get inspiration everywhere. I do use a special chalk that's, in my opinion, magical. It's Hagoromo. It has a special coating on the outside. It's very sturdy and durable. It doesn't break easily. My husband dabbles in math, and he had this box in the basement of this chalk. And so I don't know what compelled me to grab a piece of it and put it in my purse, but for some reason I did. And my daughter and I were driving around town, and she has a lot of anxiety and we do a lot of talking. And she said, "I don't want to go through puberty. It sounds terrible." And I said to her, "Hey, I don't want to go through menopause. It sounds equally terrible." And I said, "But you know what? We don't have a choice, because we are growing and we are evolving people. And so this is just another growth spurt. It's a growing pain. That's why it hurts. So we can either go through it and resist every second of it and make it harder, or we can grow through it and ride the wave and just go with it. So which one do you want to do? Do you want to go through it or grow through it?" And she thought for a moment and she said, I guess I'll grow through it. And I said, me too. I'll grow through it too. So I said, let's make it official. I'm going to write that down right there. So I pulled over and I wrote it. That was the very first chalk I did. Go through it or grow through it. Your choice. And it felt amazing. I'm a former teacher. I loved the chalkboard. I know people use whiteboards now, but I loved writing on the chalkboard when I was a teacher. And so I thought, I'm going to do that again. So the next morning I went for a walk. I just left a bunch of messages everywhere. And I had no idea what was going to happen. And then that spilled over to August. And I knew kids were coming back to school and I wanted them to feel excited. And I thought about those kindergartners scared out of their minds for the first day. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to write some messages just to those little babies. So I wrote a bunch saying, your teacher can't wait to meet you. You get a new box of crayons. Your friends can't wait to hang out at recess. And I just did a bunch for the little guys and some for the parents. And people just really received them. And it was a huge surprise to me to see them being so well received. And to my husband, because came home and I said, you won't believe this, but they wrote a newspaper article about this. I can't believe it. It's going to be on the news. And my husband said, oh, that's great. And I said, yeah, I loved that chalk. It was amazing. And he said, what chalk? And I said, your chalk. And he looked at me stunned and he said, did you use it? And I said, of course I did. And he said, how much? How much did you use? And I said, the whole box, all 72 pieces. And he said, no, that's special chalk that they closed down the manufacturers of it. They don't make it anymore. It's special math chalk. We kind of got into a little fight about it. I said something cheeky to him like, well, you know, I'm sorry, but this is an algorithm that went viral in a different kind of way, isn't it? And we had a laugh about it. And I found out later that they do still make the chalk. It comes out of Korea now and you can get it on Amazon. And so that's where I've been ordering it. Although he swore it wasn't the same formula and his chalk was forever gone. But I assured him it's now a piece of history, just in a different kind of way. I have two stories of how this affected some individuals positively. One is I was chalking and somebody caught me and wanted to know if I was the one that had done it since 2018, as he put it. And I said yes, and I introduced myself. And he said to me, I want you to know that my buddy was having a hard time. He was getting a divorce, back on drugs, and crying at me all the time about how awful life was. And I said, you know what, just go for a walk. I want you to go clear your head and I want you to go for a walk. And he told me that his friend finally agreed to do the walk. And so he went on a walk and saw some of my chalks and began to send his friend screenshots of the chalks. And he said, you know, that night he didn't really hate his life so much. He felt a little bit of hope. So he thanked me for that. And that was extremely meaningful to me. Another time is a woman who had been having a custody battle that she was in. And she reached me through someone who knew it was me. And she wanted to thank me for saving her life. And that sounded so dramatic to say it, even as I say it, but she was going to end her life. She had been exhausted by the court. I had an inclination that morning to go to the ferry building and write a bunch of chalks. I just had this like nudging to do so. And so that morning I wrote, "You are your child's hero." And she said she was standing in line, getting ready just to go end it off the Golden Gate, and looked down and saw the chalk and started crying and realized, what am I doing? And so she went home and cried. And then I'm happy to say, later it all worked out for her, but it moved me to tears because it almost sounded made up, like, oh, come on, how can a chalk do that for somebody? And I can't explain it. I just know that I'm grateful that it's meaningful. It's really emotionally meaningful for some people. That story stunned me. I was stunned by that. Why do I stay anonymous? Even my children have said, Mom, you may as well just reveal yourself. I know exactly why. I know that the minute I come out, even if it's a fraction, it's going to become about me. And one might say, well, the stories that you write are yours and the inspiration is yours. What's the difference? I want it to stay about the person's experience with the words. There is an element of a safe place too in being anonymous, where I can truly not care what people think, right? And so I'm not necessarily hiding behind that, although I can understand if somebody observed that. No, it's more, I really want to stay true to what this really is for me. It's not about being famous, but it's really about the connection between the words and then the person that reads the words. So I think that would get a little bit tainted if it became, even the surname or the name Carrie Chalk. Initially, my hope was that everybody would chalk. That's what I really wanted people to do. I was hoping to God that people would pick up their own chalk and write their own words. That was my original intention, was I don't just want to be the one doing this. I want everybody to do it. And what I found is that people don't really want to do it. I asked a couple friends, I was like, hey, I'll give you some chalk and I want you to write a chalk. And, the reasons go from, I don't like my handwriting, to I don't want to get on the sidewalk, to I'll feel weird if somebody sees me, to I don't know what to say. So I thought, well, okay, that didn't work. So what am I going to do? Am I going to stop or am I going to carry on? And I just decided to carry on solo. And, funnily enough, people have done their own chalks. There was somebody even in Spain who sent me a chalk that they did. Somebody in New York. A lot of moms had their kids do chalks. That was the reason my name became Carrie Chalk, because I wanted everyone to carry a piece of chalk and then write a message of love wherever they were. It didn't turn out that way, but it is what it is. What's the future for Carrie Chalk? That is a good question, because I really don't know. And I think I'm not going to even speculate. I'm just going to trust and let the river flow where it's going to flow. I have no idea.